I'd like to introduce Robbie Alexander. Robbie's the host of the popular YouTube channel Robbie Fishing with 80,000 odd subscribers and lots of videos. He's prolific with his videos, just amazing. He was born in Wangaratta. He spent his whole life fishing for Murray cod, with the Ovens River being his home ground. You can often see that he's on the Ovens when he's doing his videos. Over the years, he's seen many changes in state fishing, the wider northeast. And advances in fishing technology. One thing remains the same though, is the art of angling for Murray cod with bait, and it's something that Robbie loves, and you can see the love in when you see him out do his thing. He'll be speaking about the basics of Murray cod fishing with a strong focus on bait. He'll explain how easy it is to get the whole family involved and how anyone can catch Murray cod without the flashiest gear ever. Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Gus. Wow. I'm a bit crippled. They've got to get me a stool. Thank you, Mark. All right. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Oh wait, it's a DJI. Right, put that up there. I've just been and changed my shirt. If I'm gonna talk like Robbie, I've got to look like Robbie. These speakers have been amazing, and isn't it great in this world of fancy technology that we've got that we don't have to use it? Now, Kate, that was a great presentation. But I don't have a lot of extra room under my shirts for heat packs. That space is taken by my abs. Now, before I start, I just want to point something out. Just a couple of things that have sprung to mind this morning. Where's the right folder? I had a quick Google of live scope technology. They start from around $4,500. Now at $5 each, I can buy about 900 packets of cheese to go bait fishing. And another thing, when fisheries first announced this shindig, hang on, didn't I screenshot it? Here it is. This is how they advertised it. Hear from expert anglers like keynote speaker Lubin Pfeiffer, Colby Lesko and Kate Norman, as they share their secrets on how to land iconic Murray cod. Robbie Alexander will be there discussing accessible cod fishing. So hear from all these experts, and Robbie's going to be there too. But Gus, welcome to the never caught a 99, never caught a 100 centimetre cod club, because neither have I. My biggest Murray cod is 98 centimetres, and I've got to be honest, if I wanted to catch a big cod, I'm sure I could. It'd just be a case of going downstream further to Bundalong or Lake Mywala, upsizing my gear, putting in more hours, and I'm sure that the law of averages would come my way, but I'm not patient enough to do that. I just like catching I don't care if they're little, but lots of fish. But anyway, here is, which one's forward? This one. Murray cod fishing is easy, and it is. These guys have done an amazing job at teaching us where fishing's at, and that is where it's at. It's very popular and we can catch big fish. But if you want to get back to basics, I can guarantee that anybody in this room can go out and catch a Murray cod when the season opens, because there's so many of them there now and they're so easy to catch. So in my super simple presentation, I'm going to cover a few things. I'm going to talk about doing our homework, what tackle you need, what is the best bait. That's going to be cheese, it's my favourite. What are the best rigs, where to fish once you arrive, and when are the best times? Firstly, do your homework, do some research. We have never had in the history of, since I've been alive, so much technology and so much instant access to information. And one of the best places to head to is the VFA's very own page, of Victorian Fish, vfa.vic.gov.au. They list all their fish stockings. They've kindly given us a brochure in these little red bags, but a lot of that stuff is available on their website, which we can access from our phones. And the amount of times I've been out fishing, and I've used that as a resource to check rules and regulations and stuff, before I keep an undersized fish on camera and put it on YouTube. It's got me out of trouble, but that is a valuable source of information. There's other apps like Fishbrain. There's fishing pages, like there's the Murray Cod fishing page on Facebook. There's just information everywhere, and it's really hard to give you a general idea on where to go. So do your homework before you head out. And that includes learning the rules, because there's a lot of people that still get quite confused by a few rules. Now, what fishing tackle do you need? Well, that's no lies, that is my current bait fishing rod for Murray Cod. I call it my sawn-off because I didn't like the long butt, so I cut about 6 inches of it off with a hacksaw. You can see the reel. That reel's probably designed to be used with about 8 or 9 pound monofilament line, and I've got it spooled with 50 pound braid, as you do. The handle's broken, and it's missing the runner out of the top eyelet. Now, the reason I'm still using it, because about 5 years ago, a few people on Facebook said, that's going to cost you a big fish one day. So I'm deliberately using it to prove them wrong. I caught an 82 centimetre cod on that rod last year. I've caught so many cod on that rod. I've got a couple of rods just like that. But the point I am making here, the serious point is, you don't need to go out and spend $300 on an expensive brand name quality graphite rod to sit on the bank and catch a Murray cod. You can just do it with cheap stuff, because it works. When you're making cast after cast after cast, hundreds if not thousands of casts over a full day or a week like Colby does drifting down the river, you want good quality gear. But when you're just going to sit it in the sand, in the mud, sometimes, more often than not, a cod will just pull the whole rod in the river and sometimes you don't get it back. You're going to want that rod, not a $400 rod when that happens. So first tip, don't go spending expensive dollars on fishing gear to go bait fishing. What fishing tackle do you need? Now this is where I'm probably my least technical. People often say to me, what's a good size hook? And my answer is usually, about the size of my little finger. I honestly couldn't tell you what size those hooks are. And when I went to get them out to take that photo, I thought I'll have a look at the box. And I still couldn't tell you. It's been rolling around the tackle box that long. It's all scratched and faded. And I think that was a 4.0, but I'm not sure. The sinker size, I like to just run with the smaller stock and get away with. If there's a lot of current, I need a larger sinker. If there's not a lot of current, I can use a smaller sinker. Cod hit your bait so hard, it doesn't matter. With a redfin or a trout, they'll peck at it, they'll pull it away a bit, then they'll feel the weight of the sinker, then drop the bait. That doesn't happen with cod. They just grab it and go bang. So any sort of sinker will do, and the hook size depends what you're targeting. If I was down at Bundalong or Eildon or something chasing big long metre cod, I'd probably have a hook size half the size of my hand. But in the river where I'm fishing, most of the cod that I'm targeting is sort of around that 60 centimetre or under. That's a good enough size. And fishing line, that's a personal preference. I've got braided line on that, I think it's that button. I've got braided line on that spinning reel there. That's not designed for that, but it works. I always use braided line when I'm lure fishing with my overhead reels and my bait caster, but usually I've got monofilament on these sort of reels. But when I'm cod fishing, I like heavier line, and 50 pound mono is so big and bulky, so that's why I've got it on there. But you just braid, or there's always going to be people arguing braid's better than mono, mono's better than braid. It's a personal preference, and I use both. Now, what are the best baits for Murray cod? Yabbies are a very good bait. There's some yabbies that I caught last week near Wangaratta. Shrimp are a very good bait, and shrimp are a dynamite bait, especially for yellow belly, and they're readily available. They're just starting to come on the bite in the Ovens River now where I live, and right through the warmer months the river will be full of shrimp. But then there's other baits. We've got natural baits like yabbies and shrimp, but then we've got what we call kitchen baits. And believe it or not, some of them are weird, but they work. I love cheese. It's funny, in the summer months, I like tasty cheese. In the winter months, I like mozzarella cheese. I think the mozzarella cheese, I find, there is method to my madness. The mozzarella cheese in the cooler months stays on the hook a lot better. The tasty cheese gets a bit crumbly and breaks. But in the warmer months, the mozzarella just gets really soft and falls off the hook, whereas the tasty holds better. So we've got cheese is a great kitchen bait. Things like cocktail frankfurts of all things. I haven't actually used them, but I've got friends that do. My friend Tim, who isn't here today, I've seen him catch cod on chicken nuggets. Just bits of chicken nuggets with sauces on them, and you know what? I think they eat anything. I think they're attracted to fat. I actually cut the fat off a bit of rump steak a couple of years ago and put it on the hook as an experiment. And I got the fishing was really slow. It wasn't the good night for experimenting, but I had one massive big bite and the fish didn't hook up. But the good thing was it didn't take the bait, so I could keep using it. Now this isn't I'm not very good with graphics. I drew that. Well, this is actually a cover off one of my old videos. What are the best rigs? These are the rigs that I like best, a paternoster rig or a running sinker rig. The paternoster rig on the left, you simply just, the line comes down to a weight on the bottom, then there's a dropper off the side with a hook on it. The beauty of a paternoster rig is that if you're using a live bait like a yabby or a shrimp, it'll help to keep it off the bottom because those buggers will just bury under all the bark and the leaves and stuff and they'll hide. So it suspends it off the bottom and keeps them out on display. Whereas with a running sinker rig, they'll often just go and bury and hide. But a running sinker rig allows the fish to feel no weight. They'll grab the bait and they won't feel any sinker at all. And the moment your rod tip moves, that's when they feel their first bit of resistance. Personal choice for me is running sinker, nearly every day when I'm cod fishing. Paternoster. First choice for me is paternoster. The running sinker rig is good for trout and redfin and smaller species, but it will work for cod. You can catch cod under a bubble float. You can catch cod unweighted. But for the purpose of this demonstration, my favourite is the running sinker rig, the paternoster rig. Wow, talk about trip over my tongue. I've got an issue with my leg and they've been giving me medication and that's what I'm blaming. Right, now once you get there, you've done your research. You've been out and you've bought your cheap rod. You've gone and bought some cheese and maybe caught a few yabbies. You've done your research at the fisheries and you've seen that they've stocked 200,000 yellow belly or 200,000 cod into the Goulburn River, so that's where you're going. Where do you fish? Well, that's the King River there. Colby and Lubin both spoke about the King River earlier. That's a section of the King River, but it's a good spot because it allows me to give you some ideas on where to fish. That pool on the left is a very popular swimming hole. It's very deep. It's a deep spot. The water slows down. It drops away into a big deep area, and they are hot spots to fish for Murray cod. And they're also spots like that are great spots to just fish off the bank. Sandbars are terrific for fishing for Murray cod. The steeper the better. You don't want to cast out as far as you can and land in 2 feet of water, which often happens on the Murray River. But on the smaller rivers, a nice sandbar dropping into deep water like that is perfect. The slide on the right, or the photo on the right, that's just upstream. There's a big deep hole around that bend, and down the bottom here where it's shallower, you can see the logs laying in the ground there. And Colby mentioned earlier, he likes to fish the top and the bottom of the hole where the water's faster. That's that there. You've got the bottom end of the hole, the water's picking up speed as it's exiting the deep hole. There's lots of snags in that slightly faster water. That'll allow the fish to go down deep when it's not hungry, when it's resting and off the bite. But then when it's wanting to feed, it can come out into somewhere like that. So they're both really good spots to fish. And on this side, structure is everything. On the left-hand side there, because the water's clear, you can see on the bottom left of the corner, you can see the sand. That's a sandbar. That drops away into about 6 feet of water in amongst all that crap. When I'm lure fishing, I'll just put the lure right in the middle of all that stuff. But when I'm bait fishing, obviously I want to try and balance not getting snagged every cast with still being in the right spot. So I'll cast out, a metre or two out in front of all those snags. And the slide on the right, the thing I like the most about that is there's lots of snags, but the shade. Cod are shy. They don't like to be out in the open. If you stand on a high bank and look into a river, quite often you'll see carp swimming around or redfin or trout, but you rarely see Murray cod just free swimming. You do see it occasionally, but it's very rare because they like to hide, and nothing will make a fish with mottled patterns more camouflage than a bit of water with mottled shade all over it like that. So shade, depth and snags, that's an ideal spot. Now, when are the best times? I don't think I was fishing on either of those occasions, But it highlights the time of day. If you're from Yamurka, that little photo on the left was actually taken at Yamurka. I was over there photographing bats, but I liked the photo. And the one on the right was on the Ovens River in Wangaratta early one morning. My favourite times of the day are sunrise and sunset, without a doubt. I love the low light periods of the day. However, What I find in the winter months, when the air's colder and the water's colder, during the day seems to be better than the low light periods. I don't know whether that's to do with the fact that the sun's up or what, for whatever reason, but most people do their cod fishing in the summer months and the warmer months, and in that time, sunrise and sunset are probably the best times of the day. Years ago, growing up, we'd go fishing down the Ovens River in a boat, and we'd go bait fishing, and we'd have an esky full of yabbies, and every night when the sun set, the yabbies in the esky, you'd start hearing them walking around and making lots of noise. And I think that's what happens in nature. I think the nocturnal things start to wake up, the daytime things start to go to sleep, and everything's active. So low light periods are just better, and the fish feel a bit safer coming out when the light's a little bit lower. So sunrise and sunset are my favourites during the summer. Now I've got a bonus tip here. It's not much a tip, but because this is for beginners, it's easy to look at other guys' presentations and think big lures, expensive rods and stuff. But if you're camping, say, somewhere like the Ovens River or the Goulburn River, you've got your kids and they want to go out, they've got a new bait caster and they want to catch a Murray cod, all you need to do is put on a small surface lure, go down the river at sunrise or sunset and just cast a surface lure or a diver around the snags close to the bank. During the day, you might not have any success, but of an evening and in the morning, you should have success. And the reason I say a small lure, because smaller lures will catch more fish. They'll be smaller fish, but if you've got a son or yourself, even if you're only new to fishing, you just need to catch a few small fish to get your confidence up. Then once you've got your confidence up, then you might look at risking, longer extended periods of time not catching anything in return for a bigger fish. Like Kate said, fish for hours and hours and catch nothing. So start small and work your way up. So if you're new to cod fishing, any kind of small, soft plastic, the surface frog or a surface paddler, just something about 70 or 80 millimetres long, just around the camp. The rivers now are full of cod. Taylor said in his presentation this morning, the evidence is there that cod numbers are better than ever, and I can attest to that because we just see it. Some nights, I'll go down to the Ovens River in Wangaratta just of an evening and just flick small surface lures just around a rocky bank and I'll catch 6 or 7 fish. And that's no jokes. Most of them are only 30 or 40 centimetres long, but that's how easy it is. Now, the last thing, and there's one thing that I think a lot of people are doing wrong in cod fishing these days. We need to be kind to each other. There's social media has created this environment where everyone can have an opinion and attack people. At the moment, the live scope users are coming under attack all the time. The bait fishermen come under attack from the lure fishermen. I grew up in an era where everyone was kind to each other. I remember going to Lake Mulwala with Dad years ago, and we found a couple of blokes down there. His outboard motor was broken and he knew what was wrong with it, but he didn't have the tools. So Dad lent him a spanner. Said, I'll just drop it back at Barney Barry's Iceworks in Wangaratta. And we went in a couple of days, we got the spanner back, we got a fishing report to go with it. It was just basic kindness. And we need to see a lot more of that in the cod fishing scene. I think it's just something that's very important. Oh, and I can't go without giving you a free plug, or giving me a free plug. That's my YouTube channel, Robbie Fishing. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you did. Thank you very much. You see this, guys? You know why I put this shirt on? Because I can just...
I go.
Ah!
Go.
It's stuck now. You need one of these? They go all right. That's my favourite colour, that one.